Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News at 8, read to you by myself, Nathalie Sitole, alongside Namaklabiso Ngambule. First up, let's have a look at our headlines. The Minister for Tourism has called for the youth to come up with new ideas and job opportunities of reviving the tourism sector, which has been hugely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs has launched a twofold partnership between the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund and the University of Eswatini. The Look Commission has donated chairs to 3 constituencies which have reached 50% population of vaccination coverage. And now the news in detail. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Prince Milane, has condemned the act of vandalizing the Hallelujah billboards. The minister says destroying these billboards is an act of disrespect to the country's authorities and the Lord Almighty. The minister was speaking during a press briefing held at the ministry's offices in Babane on Monday.
Akukethelelwa live. Akukethelelwa ingwenyama Mswati wesithathu. Kwethelelwe uNkulunkulu wawo uNkulunkulu lo ngumdali welizulu nemhlaba nelwandle nako konke lokuko lelithi iBhayibheli lizulu lisihlalo sebukhosi bakhe umhlaba usenabelo setinyawo takhe bethelele uNkulunkulu lo efika emakhosini alelive enkosini somhlolo lemphini nebekunene ayikabhekani nathi akusiyo yethu ibhekene naNkulunkulu yaNkulunkulu lemphi ninebekunene umuntu wemhlaba angalwa nemuntu kepha angete alwe naNkulunkulu. Haleluya lona lekhulunywe ngayo ingwenyama ngilosho kona kwekuthi sisive sithi kuNkulunkulu singesuka kuwe siyekubani ngoba kuphila elokuphakathe kukuwe sathi kahle singemaswati ukuthi uNkulunkulu nguye lolohola lelive lalinqobelako laliphephisako lalivikelako imihla nemalanga kukhumbuta ke bagili baletitika sexwayiso lesibhekiswe kubo uthi uNkulunkulu uhambela bubi bawoyise kuso sizukulwane sekuqala nesesibili nesesithathu nasesine sabamtonzana.
The Minister for Tourism, Moses Vilakazi, says Eswatini and the world at large still has the challenge of reviving the tourism sector, which has been hugely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which calls for the youth to come up with new ideas and job opportunities while reviving the tourism sector. The minister was speaking at Sitogoto during the World Tourism Day commemorations.
Annually on the 27th of September, the world commemorates the World Tourism Day. Eswatini commemorated this day at Project Canaan in Sitogoto area, where they first toured the place and were taken through various sections and projects, including designs and arts, as well as various multimedia projects. The Minister of Tourism, Moses Vilakazi, says the impact of tourism is fostering positive change in the country. He says with the challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, they need to go back to the drawing board and think creatively around ways ways of keeping tourism alive.
Mihlabeni yonke jikelele labanye sebabonile ukuthi na usebenza nge-agritourism labantu betela babone kokuso lubisi lukhicitwa kanje emacanza atholakala kanje tibhidro dilinywa kanje diphinzwe divunwe kanje labantu ke ngokwenta lokuthi lapho bahlale ilanga lonke ngoba lesikwenta kusithi umuntu nake sefikile la kangwane akangede ahlale nje ilanga libe linye noma bemabili akube nale tinto lapha nalapha lokunye ke lesikwenta ngiloko kwanamhlanje siyadibongela nje kakhulu kulabo be project Canaan ngoba sesibonile ukuthi bakhicita into letinyenti bakhicita emaqanza bende ama hydroponics lokulima tilimo ngaphandle kwemhlaba banetinkomo delubisi bacishe banako konke nyalo besibuka lapho benda iarts bacashe abantu labanyenti labakhicita tinto batithunge bakuhlanganise bakusengisele iMerica.
He says Eswatini continues to make great strides in establishing herself as one of the world's most competitive hubs of innovation. He says they continue to work tirelessly towards achieving the strategic objective to increase domestic tourism visits and spends by 10% by the year 2025. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB at Project Canaan, Eswatini.
The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, has launched a twofold partnership between the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund and the University of Eswatini. The Minister says the launch will see the university train aspiring youth entrepreneurs on business plan preparation. The launch was held at the university's Matapa campus.
Since its commencement, the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund issued 192 loans to aspiring youth entrepreneurs, which puts the success rate at 20%. Speaking when signing a Memorandum of Understanding and launching the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund training, the Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, says through the signed MOU, about 25 youth will be trained on business planning writing for 5 days.
Our young people have proven time and time again that they are willing to work, but unfortunately, their unquestionable desire is often let down by the applications. Much of this comes down to the preparation of business plans, which is a critical prerequisite for youth fund funding. This has been a long-standing Achilles heel and continues to prevent and delay many of our young people from accessing this fund, which His Majesty's government has tailor-made to enhance their participation in the economy.
Speaking on behalf of the youth, Banele Mahlalela said, most aspiring youth entrepreneurs have little or no knowledge on how to start a business.
From my experience, I've seen that a lot of young people, they don't have the information on how to apply and then how to make their business plans viable in order for them to achieve or for them to gain the loan that they are looking forward to. So at this point in time, I'd like to say thank you from the Youth Fund for such an opportunity to us as the youth.
The 5-day training will create a pathway for these trained young aspiring entrepreneurs to then access funding to the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund to start and grow their businesses. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkel Suekoza with Fumiko Sinsinisa Matapa.
Gabois High School used over 4 million emalangeni without the authorization of the school committee during the 2018 financial year. According to the Auditor General, this is contained in the 2018 Auditor General's report that is being debated by the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament.
When conducting an audit at Gabois High School during the 2018 financial year, the Auditor General's office found out that the school's administration used over 4 million emalangeni without the authorization of the school's committee. On Monday, the PAC was expected to debate the audit query. Unfortunately, the head teacher of the school, Lungelo Nhlengetwa, was the only one present in Parliament. Nhlengetwa informed the PAC that he failed to get the chairperson of the then school committee since there is now a new committee in the school. The PAC felt it wouldn't be prudent to continue with the debate in the absence of the school committee.
unauthorized, in fact the unauthorized expenditures, 4 million. If I'm not mistaken. ukuthi angeke kube lula ukuthi sikholwe nje lokushiwo ngoyedwa because ngazi bahlontsha khona sifuna ukuthi sibakubude kulesi group committee ukuthi le in service ithini yona
ngoba head teacher nya akusikuthi asithembile utasitshela ukuthi bavumelane lekomiti ku verify athini nekuthi ukhuluma bona litakuva in school committee ngoba ukwenza ukuthi na school committee nayo nasifika la secha thina besingavumelani ngaloko labeka kwenda sasesithi sesikhulumisile query sahlangana silicommittee siphele sonke sayibuka le audit query lebeyikhona sayiphendula sasubmit diko ukuthi konke lo beku auditiwe kwathiwa unauthorized siyakwade.
The Auditor General in his report says the school diverted 160,000 emalangeni to pay 6 teachers who were hired by the school to teach the Form 6 class. This was in contravention of the school's accounting regulations. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Langton Kule in Parliament.
The Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund Chief Executive Officer Bheki Mazia says education without application to real-life situations is not worthwhile, so it is therefore essential for Youth Fund to partner with the University of Eswatini on youth development endeavors. Mazia was speaking during the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the university on Monday.
On Monday, in an event that was joined by the Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, Harris Bulunga, the fund signed a memorandum of understanding with the University of Eswatini, which will see, among other things, the university train young people on business plan preparation in order to enhance their applications for Youth Fund funding. Youth Fund Chief Executive Officer Bheki Mazia says education without application to the real-life situation is not helpful.
It is our belief as well as the Youth Fund that education without application to real-life situation is not worthwhile. That is why we find it commendable for the University of Eswatini to see the need to collaborate with us in ensuring that the good dreams of the aspiring entrepreneurs who have not been successful in acquiring loans from the fund do not go into the drains.
UNESWA's Vice Chancellor Professor Justice Chwala says the university is a youth-oriented institution and they are always pleased to support youth development initiatives.
The MOU being signed today is a basis for cooperation and collaboration between the parties to promote and foster cooperation, and the trainings bear testimony of the fruits to be derived from the partnership. The main objective of the MOU are fourfold: the exchange of information relating to research products, conferences, and capacity building mechanisms, as well as the development of annual programs pertaining to youth development.
To further develop business plan writing skills among the youth, last year Youth Fund started capacitating youth at different Dingodla centers on the structures of starting a business. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Suekoza with Fumiko Sinsinesa Matsapa.
The Look Commission has donated chairs to 3 constituencies which have reached 50% population vaccination coverage. The donation was held at the Look Commission in Sitokoto, and our reporter Gian MCB has more.
With an aim of encouraging Maswati to vaccinate, the Look Commission has donated chairs to 3 constituencies for reaching the 50% on COVID-19 vaccination. While the country is still battling the 3rd wave pandemic, the 4th wave remains a threat. These constituencies are Lamkapi, Mangongo and Ngudzeni constituencies. Richard Mamba spoke on behalf of the Look Commission.
Ikakhulukati sing Look Commission silwela ukuthi 4th wave nayifika ikhanze ukuthi eMaswati lamanengi noma ke onkana savikele ngoba vele siyinombolo lencane.
He says all constituencies achieving 50% vaccination rate will receive a gift of chairs for their constituencies. He says each time these constituencies reach the 80% vaccination rate, they will also be added 25 more chairs. Mamba says the vaccine is widely available, but the numbers of people taking the jab is currently too slow.
Ninenhlanhla lembi noma kuba inhlanhla lembi ukuthi bantu nabagula abakhohlwa bungubo babo abafuni bantu ukuva ukuthi njoba ngigula nje kusho ukuthi sengibangihlaselwe ngomkhuhlane amaningi ngasesibhedlela.
Mangongqo, Member of Parliament 1 Zikalala, spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, saying they are grateful and they will definitely encourage Maswati to take the vaccine. This encourages other constituencies and members of Parliament to encourage Maswati to take the vaccine so that lives will get back to normal. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Stokoto.
The Eswatini SWASA on Monday commenced a 4-day workshop with micro, small and medium enterprises on SWASA's conformity assessment services. Standards Development Officer at SWASA, Milakrosa Mondlane, says there is still little knowledge in the country about SWASA's conformity assessment services. The workshop was held at Bethel Court.
To ensure that local products adhere to international standards and product safety, on Monday, the Eswatini Standards Authority SWASA started a conformity assessment services workshop for micro, small and medium enterprises. Standards Development Officer at SWASA, Milakrosa Mondlane, says the aim of the workshop is to increase knowledge on SWASA's conformity assessment services, which include testing and certification, among others.
So we have noticed and seen that SWASA is still not known, and people lack the understanding of knowing how can I know that a product is safe? How can I know that a product is reaching the desired standard? So as a standards body, we have taken it to ourselves to say we need to train the SMEs to say, how can you give confidence to consumers that your product is safe? How can you give confidence and assurance to your consumers that your service is meeting the right standards? So we're basically, what we're doing is training and giving out the information and telling the consumers what are the steps that SWASA takes to give assurance to say, now this product is safe for consumption.
Maybe briefly take us through those steps that SWASA.
The tracking, conformity is basically checking against a desired standard. So they're going to be testing that is done to that particular standard, or there's going to be calibration that needs to be done to that particular equipment to say that whatever we're seeing is what is supposed to be. And we also do certification services, basically just checking the system of the production.
The workshop was also joined by the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, SADC, Eswatini Competition Commission, among others, and will also be conducted in the country's remaining 3 regions. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samgal Suekoza with Fuminko Sinsinisa at Sulweni.
Most women are still reluctant to take up leadership positions in their communities and in politics locally, and they still look down upon themselves for such positions. The Women and Law Southern Africa trained women from different parts of the country on leadership positions and their participation in politics.
Women are still reluctant in taking up leadership positions from community level to higher positions up to that of politics. Women still look down on themselves and still think leadership roles are for males, which has changed in modern society. The Women in Law Southern Africa educated women in political participation and leadership roles ahead of the 2023 elections in Eswatini. The Women in Law Board of Directors Chairperson Tapsile Mavimbela says most women still doubt themselves for leadership positions and shift search to men and are scared to be leaders of men as they still think men are decision makers.
Le tintfo tekuba baholi nekuba buholi bese buholini tintfo lebetingabukwa ngeliso lelikhaliphile ikakhulu Africa, not even Africa yonke yodwa iSwaziland nalamanye mave emhlabeni wonke vele.
She says they will continue to educate them until they achieve their goal. Trustee Gainer, who was once the Deputy Speaker in the House of Assembly, who was the guest speaker of the day, asked the women to support one another and change their attitudes towards one another.
The leadership starts from somewhere. Angeke nje usuke ube ku leadership basukele nje. Qala le beqaleni. Asenibuyele emuva. Niku drawing board.
She says if they can support and respect men at all times, why can't they do the same to women? The workshop will run until this Thursday. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian MCB, Sibane Hotel.
In our international news, we'll have a look at the latest received from SADC.
This is the first formal meeting between the new SADC Executive Secretary, Elias Mpedi Magosi, and the new SADC Chairperson, Malawi President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera.
When you took up that responsibility for the SADC region, we all celebrated together. And so to have you come back and for us to be able to interact for the first time in an official fashion.
Speaking to journalists after meeting the president, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, Erias Mpedi Magosi said as a new executive secretary, he thought of paying a courtesy call on the Malawi leader as a SADC chairperson. He added that this will give him the right direction in his line of duty, including ensuring that there are internal controls within the SADC secretariat as well as ways of mitigating risks.
It's a meeting of minds between the chair of SADC and the approach that myself as the executive secretary have presented before him. So this is for me to get back, reshape this, put an implementation behind it, and execute. The Secretariat is an executing function of the SADC community. We implement decisions. But there are also roles that are played by others, and there are structures within the SADC community.
Malawi Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is also chairperson for the SADC Council of Ministers, Eisenhower Mkaka, said the coming of the executive secretary has set a foundation for the teamwork needed to ensure the dream of the SADC chairperson of realizing an increased market size, improving intra-regional trade and investment flows achieved.
If there is somebody who the summit should cherish and value, it is the executive secretary, because whatever decisions the summit makes, they cannot come to fruition without somebody steering the agenda. So in this case, the executive secretary becomes key, and therefore he needs the support of all of us.
And now let's have a look at our financial markets.
Bank. It can be.
Good evening once again. You are still watching Eswatini TV. Let's have a look at our sports news. Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Sports and Recreational Council, Darius Lomo, says government has eased restrictions when it comes to sporting codes in the country. Lomo says to the associations who are still not allowed to proceed with their activities, whenever they have an official activity, they must formally approach the Sports Council, who will then forward their request to government for approval. Lomo was speaking to Eswatini TV Sports in Babane.
According to Eswatini Sports and Recreation Council Chief Executive Officer Darius Lomo, government has eased COVID-19 regulations when it comes to sporting activities.
Nje watu wa saying kubantu bethu bema sports associations uma there is a need.
Lomo says if a specific association has a particular activity, mostly associations who are still banned from holding the activities, the association should request formally to Sport Council, who will then forward the request to government.
Mangabe kufuna ukuthi mhlambe kuwave nje maybe ngebantu abalishumi noma labayi20 bese ke sekuba nalokuthi indawo enta njani ukuze leligciwane linganawo.
Associations who are currently still on hold with the activities have expressed their excitement about the news.
So association itawuzama ukubambisana na Sports Council ukuthi basihlangabede.
Also sitaw encourage badance bethu ukuthi nabo sale babuyela baqale ama activities.
Lomo concluded encouraging associations to urge their members to vaccinate against COVID-19. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Babane.
Premier League of Eswatini executive member Charles Mathebula says the COVID-19 vaccination program will try and reach different regions of the country before the kick-off 2021-2022 new season next month. Mathebula says the response from the supporters since the program was launched has been exciting so far. Mathebula was speaking during the outreach in Manzini, where supporters turned up in their numbers to vaccinate against COVID-19.
Following the campaign launched by the Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Health in conjunction with the Eswatini Football Association of encouraging football supporters to vaccinate against COVID-19 and increase their chances of being allowed to watch their teams next season, Football Association together with the Premier League of Eswatini continued with the campaign in Manzini. Premier League of Eswatini executive member Charles Mathebula says that they will continue to visit different regions of the country before the new season kicks off.
We are encouraging football fans to vaccinate because we have been promised that if football fans can vaccinate, they can be allowed to return to the stadiums to watch their beautiful team.
The National Football Association is also praising the supporters who continue to attend the campaign in their numbers, as this will increase their chances of watching the games next season.
Sibonga kakhulu nje singumndeni webhola, sibonga sicethe kakhulu kati kibo balandzeli belibhola baphumile nabo bavela lapha kaManzini kuhambisa leyo mlayito. Labanye futhi sibabonile nasekuseni ezisachubeka lo msebenzi bahamba bayawujova.
Supporters who came out to vaccinate in their numbers are encouraging others to also vaccinate. They say that vaccinating means they'll also be able to support their clubs financially.
Abalandzeli nebadlali emakhaya ukuthi sijoveni.
Ngwane kakhulu ukubuyela ebholeni nje ngikolo kuba ngakuthi ngibe nemidlandla ukuthi ngijove.
For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a look at our top stories. The Minister for Tourism has called for the youth to come up with new ideas and job opportunities of reviving the tourism sector, which has been hugely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs has launched a twofold partnership between the Youth Enterprise Revolving Fund and the University of Eswatini. The Look Commission has donated chairs to 3 constituencies which have reached 50% population of vaccination coverage. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for tuning in. Good night.
It's OK's Big Birthday Surprises. Win your share of 300,000 in instant cashback surprises. Buy any participating product and swipe to enter. Plus, get Joko tagless tea bags for a low $29.99 or Gold tomato sauce for just $24.99 and Farmer's Choice IQF mixed portions for only $149.99. Only at OK. Owners you can count on.